Our position is that they'll come to our desk, that whoever filed the complaint will receive acknowledgement, not just a copy of their complaint at the time they filed it, but also an acknowledgement from me that we have their complaint and that they're going to be contacted. They are assigned out. We do have time frames on that because we want to get them done in a timely manner so people aren't languishing and our officers aren't languishing. And at the end of that, we do provide them a letter of findings as we're able to according to the current status of the law. So there are a lot of things going on there. But again, I think they are complex investigations that I think need someone that has a pretty in-depth background in the work we do. The officers that we utilize to do our investigations have to even go through specialized training. That's important. They are very complex issues at times. Again, with that, it's my responsibility to discipline or to make the final judgments on those things. But I'm not opposed to the idea of someone also has expertise in the field of looking at things and giving us our take on them. I guess that would be my summation for now.
Okay. Thank you all for your opening statements. Now we'll go to the first question, which is a fairly general and philosophical one. Do you agree or disagree that in a government by the people, even the police should be run by the people? And how can this be accomplished? And we'll start with you, Barbara.
Yeah, I think in our society, in our community, police are given amazing power. I mean, the power to protect our rights, but also the power to protect property, and the power, if need be, to take a life in their duty. And I think because of that, the citizens of a democracy have the responsibility to pay attention to what their police department's doing and to have some input into that, ensure that the disciplinary process is working well and have some input into that. So I'm a firm believer in civilian oversight. I feel like coming to Eureka, I'm going to go to Fresno next month. I feel it's the evangelical side of oversight, and I think it's very important.
Okay. Bob, would you like to respond next, please?
I'll put it the way I put it when I'm teaching peace officers. The badges that they have don't belong to them. The badges that they have belong to us. Those badges are a symbol of the entrustment that the community places in them, and they don't own them. There needs to be a process whereby, the same way we would hold anyone accountable, whether it's someone who mows our lawn, whether it's our kids or our parents. So obviously there needs to be a process of accountability.
Okay. Let's see, the next person, Christina.
The only thing I would add is that if you're not doing anything wrong, you shouldn't be afraid to be looked at.
Okay. Sheriff Phelps? Bill?
I basically would agree there. If you're not doing anything wrong, then you don't have to anything to worry about. I think that Mr. Aronson is right. We, as law enforcement officers, are entrusted with a great deal of authority and power, and it's important that we don't abuse it. So there has to be checks and balances. While I do think that our internal processes are good at doing that, we also have to institute other matters. In an agency of our size, we also use kind of a personnel a performance system where we evaluate employees on a constant basis by, are they getting letters of commendation, are they getting citizens complaints, their uses of force, etc., and they're all taken into a package so that we're not just looking at them when a complaint comes in, we're looking at the whole picture.
Thank you. Chief Nielsen?
I think the only thing that I would add is that I believe that nothing is more sacred to us than the public trust that we hold. Again, police officers have an incredible amount of power in our society, not the least of which is to restrict people's liberties and freedoms. And I absolutely believe that we need to be, as a profession, held accountable for that, that responsibility.
Thank you. Now we'll go to the next question. We'll start with you, Bob. This is more specific. Would the Oversight Committee respond to citizen complaints, or would it act independently, or both?
I don't know. I think it's up to the chef in the kitchen what to extend the metaphor from earlier. You can have a model where the only thing that the board is looking at are things that are generated from citizen complaints, or you can have them looking more broadly. It does become problematic to have them look more broadly, though.
Okay. Sheriff Bill, what would you say to this?
I don't know that I have a specific answer. Like it's been pointed out, I guess every situation is kind of uniquely different from the next. And I don't know, because I mean I have an opinion that a large amount of oversight is necessary. Is it an audit of what we do? Is there any kind of oversight, or what? So it's really an unknown to me at this point.
And Barbara?
You know, it's done differently in different places. In San Jose, I have the authority only to audit complaints. And in Berkeley, the Police Review Commission did have the authority, if there was a death, to, and so to speak, file their own complaint about a death case. So in some places, you know, the authority is broader than just complaints. It's really up to the community to decide how to set it up. I think that there are some cases that every oversight agency should see, and those are death cases, or cases, as the chief said, result in death or serious injury. And I think that it's important to have that authority, so whether or not a complaint's filed.
All right, Christina?
I think the importance of getting the complaints, even if the complaint isn't investigated separately by the commission, is that then there can be a data collection about which officers are being complained about, so that if an officer has many, many complaints and the internal review shows all of them unfounded, it would seem to me that's still important information for an agency to know that a particular officer has had numerous complaints. Also, as Bob has said many times, there are larger policy issues that are reflected in those individual complaints, and those I think the commission should definitely be looking at.
Thank you. The next question, we'll start with Chief Nielsen. The Humboldt County Grand Jury investigates complaints concerning law enforcement and inspects various facilities throughout the county. What would an advisory board do that would be different?
Well, it's, I think that the grand jury is generally looks at a very narrow range of topics which they select to review. I don't necessarily think that in all cases they're necessarily looking at the issues or the incidents that may be most important to the community. I think that an advisory committee would be looking at a broader range of policies, procedures, activities than the grand jury might be looking at.
All right, Christina, what did you think?
I think that the problems with the grand jury have been shown over the years. It's not diverse, for one. The personnel changes. There have been problems in the past about confidentiality. So I think that, as the chief has said, their issues are going to be much different than a commission would.
All right. Sheriff Phil?